season is so special. It's like none other. There are so many things that go into the season, all in an effort to celebrate Jesus's birth. So today we're going to talk about how we handle some of the challenges and also how we make the most of this season. So, Dr. Kim, I'm just want to start with something really fun. How are you seeing God at work, and what is He teaching you through this season?
I think he's been teaching me the last few years, and maybe the year that we had Christmas that was so weird, the COVID year of
Mm,
2020, when a lot of things that we usually do at Christmas weren't around, but just to slow down,
mm,
and because there were parts of that year that I really missed some things,
mhm.
and then there's other things I didn't miss, and there's other things that I thought what we're doing of just with family and being close together is really special.
Mm,
So I think it helped me see something I've heard and known and done better some years than the other. But really, I think the last 2, 3 years, just slowing down, uh, to pause, to be kind of cultural,
mm,
um, to focus on Jesus and to realize that what we're celebrating is a really big deal. I mean, this is
mhm,
like God sent His Son
mm,
into the world
mhm,
for us to show us his love and
mm,
eventually to die for us and to show us how to live our lives. And so just stopping to really just embrace that and just kind of
mhm,
immerse yourself in that. To me, there's an awe and a wonder there that beats any lights or any production or anything
mhm,
like that. It is just the real truth of what this really is, of this little baby was our savior.
mhm,
And we love all the little nativity scenes. I love all that kind of stuff. But man, this changed the world.
mm. Yeah, gosh, that's good. That's
It
really
just did.
good. I think I have a sort of a similar thing. I think that I'm a person who loves traditions and I kind of want to do them all, but
Yeah.
but that's actually really stressful to try to do them all. And even through different seasons with our kids and different circumstances, like you're saying, the past couple years being a little different, I feel like I've realized and been learning, I should say, um, that those things are all good, but even if they don't happen or if they don't, go off as we plan, that it's still like a really worthy celebration. It's still meaningful and it still is just as meaningful and special as anything could be without all the toppings and trimmings and all the extras that I'm tempted to keep adding on.
Yeah, as you were saying that, I was just thinking, that, and there's times I probably have done that. We didn't get to do that thing this year, and so
Hmm.
it ruined my Christmas. Well, the only thing I really would have ruined Christmas if God hadn't sent Jesus. I mean,
Hmm.
really. So
Hmm.
the other things are things that, and I love tradition. I
Hmm.
mean, we have our traditions. Our kids love our traditions.
Hmm.
Our grandkids love our traditions. All those kind of things are so meaningful and fun, and we look forward to. But I think what we've learned I mean, there were a couple of things that we did we couldn't do during COVID
Hmm.
that we'd enjoyed, and but we also decided I didn't have to be part of our Christmas moving forward, and it
Hmm.
freed up some more time to be with each other or to spend time with God or things like that,
Yeah.
or to do something else fun.
Yeah. Because there's plenty of fun things to do.
Yes, yes,
We did that last year. We never went on an official Christmas lights drive. We saw them in
yeah,
passing, right?
yeah,
But we
right,
never like loaded up on purpose, put on the music. And I just kept meaning to and meaning to. I'm like, gosh, I really want to. I love doing that. And it just turned out that by the end of it, it's like, you know what? We didn't do that, but we did some other things that we love. And that's
yeah.
enough. It's okay.
It's okay if you don't check every single
Every
box
box.
every
Hmm.
year. Um, yeah, 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 that used to be a big deal with us when our kids were
Hmm.
little, and we've done some with our grandkids. But I mean, gosh, that was a big part of looking at Christmas lights.
Hmm.
And usually we'd go eat somewhere and then go look at lights, and
Hmm.
sometimes Nancy'd have hot cocoa or whatever, and it was just fun.
Yeah, that was our thing was get some hot chocolate, hop in the
But
car.
but when you when your kids get to an age when you're having to pay them to go
Yeah.
with you,
Right.
then you think maybe that tradition is over.
Maybe it's time to move on.
Yes,
Exactly.
yeah.
And I think that's some of it too, is just giving myself permission to say, you know what? We don't have to continue forever. That was good for then.
Yeah, so my kids will tell that, and I don't think I did it this long, but part of our deal was on Christmas morning, we live in a two-story house, that they would have to sit. I had this deal. I had to have the Christmas tree lights on before they came down and music playing and
Hmm.
everything. So
Yeah.
they had to sit at the top of the stairs till then. Well, they both say I made them do it all the way through high school. I don't think I made them do it that long, but but I know there was the time that the whole time they were sitting on the stairs, they were rolling their eyes. So
Yeah.
they were definitely older. When they were little, it was excitement, and they'd
Yes.
see the lights come on, and they'd hear the music, and all the
Yeah.
excitement, and then it was like, oh, Dad, what are we doing?
All right.
So
Well, the only reason that we didn't do that through high school because we were the same, have to have the music on, everything ready, but because people just didn't wake up early. We were like
right,
rolling out of
right,
bed
right.
finally. Like,
That was a big change. And I remember the
yeah.
first year that kind of happened. It's like, did they leave us?
Yeah.
Or did they run away in the middle of the night?
Yeah.
Because usually it was 4 in the morning and making them, guys, you got to go back to sleep. Well, can we sleep with you on Christmas Eve? Yes. Get in bed. We're going back
If
to
you'll be
sleep.
quiet,
If
anything.
you'll be quiet, go back to sleep.
Oh.
So yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, that's a funny one because I remember, if you have like one kid who gets up early and they have to wait and wait and wait,
Oh yeah.
eventually,
Yes.
it's
Yes. Or they
yeah,
wake everybody else up. And so you've
yes,
got some that didn't really want to get up then.
definitely, yes. So that's really fun. What's been a challenge for you and Nancy during your Christmas seasons together?
Oh, for me, and it comes up every year, is overspending. I just kind of
Oh,
get carried away. I mean, I used to, yeah, especially when the kids, grandkids were toy age, and really probably Eli, our 10-year-old, is the only one who's still kind of toy age. The
hmm
others are kind of past that. Worked on that and done a little better with that over. But I think the other thing that was a challenge for us, and I think some couples get to, is when we first got married. Well, Nancy was families in Houston, ours in Oklahoma City. Well,
hmm
at that time, the first years of our marriage, the first 12 years of our marriage, I was still working in my dad's company, which is supermarkets. And
hmm
when that's your busiest time of the year. And so we really couldn't go
mm
to be down there for Christmas Eve and stuff. And so we kind of started going for New Year's down there. But I know I felt for Nancy in that, but she seemed to really accept it. And I think what happened once I went back to school and ministry, we'd already established our own traditions here,
hmm
and we wanted to keep those traditions. So if
mm
we'd had a chance for, I know a lot of couples go spend Christmas one year with one family and
hmm
next year with the other family, things like that, we might have done. But I think that was an early challenge, but we worked that pretty good because
hmm
most families, your families of origin, don't even think about something changing
hmm
when you get married, and it does change. And a lot of times it will change.
hmm
Very seldom do things get to remain the same, and so that was an adjustment for Nancy. And
hmm
I think one thing, my parents always did such a good job of stuff. We had some really cool traditions, and
hmm
Nancy kind of fell in love with those,
mm
and to the point of not wanting to really to miss those.
mm
And then as our kids, when she have kids, there's just something special we thought for us about being home on Christmas morning with our kids and
hmm
letting them wake up in their own beds and all that kind of stuff. So
hmm
our tradition was always to spend time with her family over the holidays, but it was not necessarily going to be on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. A lot of
hmm
times we left the day after Christmas. One year I think Grant was 3, Julie wasn't born yet. Maybe he wasn't quite 3. He was probably 2.5, and we decided, okay, we're going to surprise him. We're going to have our family deal that morning, and then we're going to fly to Houston
hmm
and surprise everybody Christmas afternoon. We spent the whole afternoon in the airport.
Oh.
We never got out, and with a 2.5-year-old, it was just
Mm-mm.
miserable. So and then we finally, I think, got out at like on a 10 o'clock flight that night, and we sit, and then we got, by then we'd had to tell our family because I'm like, get to the airport and pick us up and
Oh
all
my
this kind of stuff.
gosh.
So that was the last time that we did that, traveling on Christmas Day. And I've heard
Mm.
some other horror stories about traveling on Christmas Day when you're depending on airlines, something like
Yeah,
that.
that sounds
It
miserable.
is not. There is nothing exciting about an airport on Christmas
No,
Day that I found. It
no.
just that just wasn't.
I haven't tried it, but I'm not tempted
No,
actually.
no,
so,
no, no.
so I'm so curious. What was one of the traditions that you and Nancy just loved that you had grown up with your family?
Oh, I think Christmas Eve, my mom always did it really special. That was our
Mhm.
big my grandmother always did Christmas Day lunch, and it was the
Mhm.
traditional turkey dressing, all that kind of stuff. But my mom, I mean, she would do it. It was fancy. It was, all the nice stuff out.
Mhm.
Really elaborate meal, really
Mhm.
fancy, and just there was just a magic to it. Just the way
Mhm.
she had the house looking and lights and candles and everything, and it was just kind of a magical atmosphere.
Mhm.
And so that was one of the things. And the other thing I think that we started our first year was on Christmas Eve after we got home from my parents. We'd usually sit in front of our Christmas tree and just talk or spend time together or listen to Christmas music. Sometimes we might watch a Christmas movie. But that couple hours that night before we went to bed on
Mhm.
Christmas Eve was a really special thing we look forward to. And I don't think we've got a picture of it. I wish we did. But our first Christmas tree was it was really bad. It was real, and I'm not sure how many needles were on it by the time we got to Christmas Day,
Oh.
but you know what? We thought it was beautiful, and we just thought it was
Mm.
the coolest thing in the
Uh.
world. So those were some of the things that I think that really meant a lot to us. What about you guys?
Yeah, we had some similar ones. So for me, growing up, my dad always was a music ministry, always worked in church. So Christmas Eve was a big night. There was
Yeah.
a lot of services going on. So that was something we were always used to, was going to church Christmas Eve.
Hmm.
And that was really special. And so we would have this kind it was like the opposite dinner. We just have like a cheese spread and like just cold, cold food, but it was really like kind of special, kind of
Yeah.
appetizers and stuff. Depending on what time the services were, maybe we'd have dinner before, maybe after. Um, and so one of our traditions, and I know this sounds crazy to a lot of people, but we do travel with our kids. We go to visit my parents for Christmas, and all of my siblings still live in the same city with my parents. And so once we get there, the entire family is assembled.
That's cool.
And for a long, long time, a lot of Brian's family was in the same town too. So it makes things easy. And we would just go and, you know, pack into this house like a bunch of sardines and just kind of roll with it, make the most of that kind of thing. And so we've enjoyed kind of sticking with that tradition even as we've morphed it a little bit. We've tried not traveling a few times because we thought, you know what, kids are old enough, we should do our own thing. And every year they go, no, no, we just want to go. We love that. And so
That's
that's been really fun.
that's really special. That's
It
so cool. I
is.
know some other families that we got some good friends growing up, and everybody came to their house, and everybody
Hmm.
spent the night at their house, and they kind of like what you're saying. I don't know where they put them all,
Yeah.
but it was they were together all the time. So I think those are just it's really about the relationships and the people.
Hmm.
Christmas Eve service has been a part of our life.
Hmm.
I had it growing up.
Hmm.
Our church always had a kind of a music communion service on Christmas Eve.
Hmm.
Nancy and I went to that, went to other things. Our church now does, and so that's always church has always been a big part of it. And
Hmm.
probably one of my favorite things is at our church now for years we do the at the end the silent night when everybody has a candle and,
Hmm.
and the room's dark and I love it the way they do it. And I guess most churches do it this way, but the room goes dark, and then
Hmm.
that one candle lights the first one. And then by the time you just see it kind of travel and the
Hmm.
light continues to glow and they're singing Silent Night. And it's just like, wow, this is really, I don't know. It's really special. It's really
Yeah.
special. It's just, you know, the light that came into the world and
Hmm.
just to see it grow like that and overcome the darkness as you're
Hmm.
singing Silent Night is pretty special.
I love that. I'm getting really excited for
I
for
know.
Christmas Eve right now. Yeah. So, okay, so we've been talking about all like the really fun and sweet parts of Christmas, but there is also some stress involved. Like we have to admit that there's some stressful things, that
Yes.
can happen. So there's been some questions that I have really wrestled with, and I'm curious how you guys handle this. So we've always struggled with, like, for example, how many presents do you get the kids? How, like, do you have to keep it fair? Dollar amount or number of presents they open. Some kids will ask for everything, some kids will ask for nothing, and have a secret wish list that nobody knows about, so they're disappointed.
Yeah.
So, how have you guys handled that as parents and as grandparents?
I think the grandkids kind of know that we try to spend the same thing on everybody. And I
Mhm.
think they've been always pretty good with that. Um, our kids, I think we always were very careful in the early years to make sure they had the same number of presents. We might
Mhm.
spend more on one than the other, but to them at that point, it was not that they counted, but maybe they did. I don't know. But you just wanted to make sure all that was fair. And so, because have struggled with just overbuying,
Mm.
we try to shop early, get things, which is great, except I always find things owned by the kids
Oh,
later,
yeah.
that I
Yeah.
want to add to it. And so, um, doing a budget really helped a lot. So we have a budget that we spend so much on each person.
Mhm.
And if it's one thing, we spend the whole thing because they want that one
Mm.
thing. That's great.
Mhm.
If it's two or three things that we can get for that amount, that's fine. And I think they all know that. And we try
Mhm.
to, I don't know, we start early and we try to make sure that we get something they really want. Uh, and sometimes, that's something that's broken by that night, but
Right. Right.
but they really wanted it.
Yeah.
I learned being practical at Christmas is with kids is probably not the smartest thing to do.
Just kind of
Just let
boring.
them. Yeah, yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So, yeah, and then we would we did. Nancy's great at figuring out things for the girls, which includes granddaughters and daughter-in-law and daughter. Um, she's real perceptive about things that
Mm.
they love. I think I do a pretty good job on the boys, and she does a pretty good job with some of the stuff for the boys too. It's really, this year I was just thinking Eli is our youngest and he's 10, and we're running out of the toys years. And
Mhm.
I miss that.
Mhm.
When Toys R Us closed nationally, I went into a deep not depression, but I would, because that was part of our Christmas tradition for
Mhm.
years of going when our shopping places would go to Toys R Us and buy the things that the kids had put on their list or grandkids on their list. And so,
Yeah.
anyway,
That giant
uh,
catalog that
yeah,
they'd
yeah,
send.
yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah, yeah. Did you ever see the deal where the catalog comes and yes, the kids mark what they
Yeah.
like in it? Yeah, and then
Yeah.
you look, there's something on every page, and you're
Yeah.
thinking, well, this was now I've just set them up for disappointment.
Right. Right. Yes. Yeah.
So it's fun.
It's fun. It is hard as a parent to wrestle against that practicality. I think that's where I come to like a really difficult decision. I'm like, I know it's going to break tomorrow. That's something for the grandparents. That's not something for me. Like if
Exactly,
they want, but
exactly,
I can't.
exactly.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think that's exactly right.
we will set a budget and we'll like try to be strategic, and then I'm like, "Oh, but just the one more thing." And then you get one person one more thing, and
And
then
then
you
you
might have to get
snowball it.
everyone one more thing.
I know.
It's bad.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Nancy's really good about that. She does kind of well, I guess I do the stockings for the boys and she does for the girls, but she's really good about balancing all that out. And I don't know, it's fun. And we try to not get too caught up in that part of it, but try to make
Yeah.
it as fair as we can.
Yeah. I mean, it is a fun thing. I think when we were earlier in marriage and our kids were younger and they're so little. There's one famous year that my kids remember. I mean, they were so little. I think they were like 6, 4, and 2 or something like that. And we one of the things we got them for Christmas was sheets. We got them flannel sheets with stockings. It was very festive. But now they laugh about that. They're like, "Oh, mom, what are we going to get for Christmas? Sheets?" Like
Yeah.
I was like, "Hey, you loved those. You loved those sheets. They were
Yes.
exciting at the time."
Yeah, I think sheets is much better than like underwear or socks.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but sometimes I know some people you want to get some practical things at Christmas because of budgets and stuff, and
Mhm.
so that kind of thing. Yeah, I don't think I was ever given something that practical for Christmas. I
Yeah.
remember the first Christmas without a toy
Oh.
and thinking, what just happened to
Oh,
me?
no.
It's like I'm too old for toys, or they think I'm too old for toys. And then I started thinking, well, there wasn't a toy that I wanted, but it was just like that the first year that and stuff, and it was clothes or something like that, or
Mhm.
you know, and it's like wow. So
Yeah. That's some
I'm,
tough growing up stuff right there.
uh,
That's really
and I'm
hard.
such a kid at heart anyway, so it's
Yeah.
just like,
Doctor, I'd be surprised if you don't still have a couple toys.
yeah,
Even
I
if it's
do,
stuff you impulse buy yourself.
I do,
Just a
I do.
couple.
Yes,
Oh, so there's hope. Yeah. Got got some fun stuff.
exactly.
So during the Christmas season, what tips do you have to help us keep from being too busy? There's always just like a couple extra things here and there, but they really add up.
It is. I think we felt early on in our marriage that everything we were invited to, we had to do, or
Mm.
if there was a production in town. We wanted to make sure we saw it. If there was a new Christmas movie, we had to see it or to
Mhm.
be the first to see it and all that kind of stuff. And I think we learned to say no.
Mhm.
And that was okay to say no. I think I don't know why at Christmas you felt like more guilty saying no to somebody than you
Mm.
do other times a year. But we also had some Christmas seasons that it was like, where did that month go? It's like
Mhm.
it was a blur. And the things that we really wanted to do, things that were really meaningful, we just didn't get done. They
Mhm.
just didn't happen or didn't have enough time for those. And so I think we learned to say no to some things and know
Mhm.
that was okay. Um, and, and it was just trying to simplify it a little bit and choose the things that we really thought were important. And I think where we are now, everything we do involves either real close friends or family.
Mhm.
And those are if a new Christmas movie comes out, usually we're gonna take grandkids with us to see
Mhm.
the movie and make
Mhm.
it a fun time with them. And so trying to make it more than just, okay, we've got to do this, and this. Okay,
Mhm.
is this something we want to do? Who in the family would enjoy this? Those kind of things.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to fit everything in. I think
What
that
and do y'all guys feel any pressure, like as pastors in the church,
mhm.
that if somebody in the church asks you to do something, it's like we have to do it?
Yeah, I think we've gotten a lot more realistic about that, kind of like what you're saying. Like and also the season we're in with our kids, we're really good at saying no because we have to be. A lot of times we find that we're not able to be spontaneous in a way that others are in different seasons. And so we've just had to get really comfortable with saying, we would love to make this happen. We can't do it now. So let's talk about some future dates. And what happens usually is people don't ever bring it back up again. But it's just where we are right now. We don't have as many free nights. We don't have as many opportunities um, to just kind of do spontaneous things. So it's something that I've been able to say, it's really not personal. It's just we're booked. So and it's not because we're like extra cool and like, whatever. We just have a lot
No,
of kids who do a lot of things.
yeah, no, and I think knowing it's okay to do that, and
Mhm.
okay to say, hey, thank you so much for asking. It is something we love you guys.
Yeah.
We can't do it, and sometimes just leave it there, and
Yeah.
and know it that is okay. And what I have seen over the years is Nancy and I have gotten better about setting boundaries. The people that cross our boundaries or want to cross them or want to ignore them um, are usually people we don't spend time with anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
That can't respect that.
Yeah.
And the people that we really love and love us are very understanding, and we're
Mhm.
understanding of them when it happens the other way.
Right. Right.
Oh yeah, we'll miss you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting us know.
Mhm.
Those kind of things. And
Yeah,
so
we understand.
yes,
Mhm.
and again, it's like, what is the best thing for you and your family during this season?
Mhm. Yes. And what's going to get us to the end of the season without feeling that really stressed and exhausted feeling? I mean, I've learned that the hard way so much by trying to squeeze in every single thing and do
Yeah.
everything I possibly could, and then just getting to the end and having this like, whew, what now? Like I just felt depleted, and that's not how I want to enter the new year. That's not how I want to look back and experience the Christmas season at all.
We had a good friend that was a great lady, and she just did everything during Christmas. Didn't
Mm.
say no to anything. And just Nancy and I just kind of realized after about 4 or 5 years, do you realize that she's sick every Christmas Day?
Oh.
And she was.
Mhm.
She just would wear herself down. And when it finally got to Christmas Day, she was
Mhm.
sick.
Mm.
And so I don't want to do that.
Mm-mm.
But you can wear yourself down
Yeah.
very,
Yes.
very easily. So I think taking care of yourself so you can enjoy the things
Mhm.
you want to enjoy with the
Mhm.
people that you want to be with is really important.
Yeah. And then I think, I mean, for me, it's always hard to learn to be realistic because I want to, want to have this ideal situation, but to be realistic, like these are not all things that I can do, and that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's my mother made dressing for
Mhm.
turkey that everybody that ate it thought it was the best in the world. And so the last few years before she died, Julie was going to learn to do it, my daughter. So she'd go over there. And then when Julie tried it, it didn't work out very good. So I had the recipe and I tried it. And so we realized that, my gosh, this takes time, and
Mm.
ours doesn't come anywhere near close to tasting like hers. So we do box dressing now. We do dressing, you know.
Mhm.
But it was one of those things that, I could have kept fighting it year after year after year, and I may try it again sometime. I
Yeah.
don't know, but it was like, wow, I spent all this time getting the right stuff together, because hers was pretty elaborate, and putting it together and doing the stages and all that kind of stuff. And it was like, okay, if it turned out, maybe, but it
Sure.
didn't. It's
Yeah.
just one year it was hard, the next year it was soft, and it's
Oh,
like,
no.
okay,
That's not
this
right.
is something's wrong here. And I
Yeah.
think it was the way my mom cooked. She really, getting her to put down measurements was really difficult, because she
Mhm.
was that kind of cook, where she just knew. She knew the way it looked, she knew the way it felt, she knew all that
Mhm.
kind of stuff when it was right. And I don't have a clue about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that's so good.
Yeah.
Just, yeah, setting some things down. That's a good thing.
Yes.
So, do you have any final words as we wrap up this episode and close out the year?
Oh, I think it probably is definitely everyone in our family would say it's their favorite time of year.
Mhm.
Uh, Part of it, I guess, is maybe in our minds, and part of it's the realities of the great experiences we've had.
Mhm.
I think keep your expectations realistic. I think sometimes I told somebody the other day, uh, that they were trying to have a Norman Rockwell Christmas,
Hmm.
and they didn't know who Norman Rockwell
Oh,
was.
no.
So I got to find a new. But he was a guy that was an artist for one of the magazines, and so he'd
Mhm.
have these pictures, and these family pictures were all this perfect thing. I can just remember one that was a Thanksgiving cover one time, and all the family's there. Everybody has their hands folded. You're
Mhm.
thinking, "Oh, that's perfect." Well, nobody ever will get there, and so it's kind of that idealistic thing. And so not going for
Mhm.
that, but just embrace what's in front of you. And really, I mean, when that slogan came out, Jesus is the reason for the season, and that's kind of corny, but you know what, it really is. And
Mhm.
he is. And so I would say the main thing, just don't miss him at Christmas. Just don't
Mm.
miss him.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. And I do want to mention too, we have the Very Married Christmas Couples Advent Calendar, and this year it's like such a fun thing that we have to. It's our thank you gift for sharing give with Giving Tuesday, which you can still do at the link in the show notes. But this calendar, we're halfway through Christmas now, but it still is probably worth getting because it's got just one really simple and doable thing every day. It's something that you can do in probably 5 minutes or so. And these are just really simple ways to add some connection to the Christmas season.
So cool.
Yeah. So we hope that you have a wonderful Christmas week. We're going to be taking just a couple weeks off from the podcast, and we'll be back on January 17th with fresh episodes. Thank you for sharing your time with us today. We pray it's been encouraging. Have a great day and do something awesome for your marriage today.